Welcome back, this is Protail Dev. We're continuing the project Turtle Trial, the game. It's been a while since I've been on this project, but you obviously won't know that. A lot of things have changed, I've added a lot of new things, and this time in this video I'm going to talk about what I've changed, what I've added. Hopefully you'll be up to date. So let's get straight into this. So the first thing I want to look at is the shield. So if I quickly press play here, you'll see a few unique differences. For one thing, the islands look different, so I've added a little bit of an art change to some of the different things on the game, including the islands. So a few visual changes. As you can see, at the bottom we have our shield, which if you recently saw the game jam that I took part in just before Christmas, which was the Yogscast game jam, I did create an armor, a shield related ability. This is where I got the concept from this game. So when I made this game, I actually made the armor in the shield in this game first, and then I implemented it in the game jam game. So as you can see, just in case you have noticed, I've just picked up, I actually do load from my save, and so when I've come in I actually had 4 crabs. Once I got 5 crabs, I now have an X showing up here. This X determines that the storage is now full, because now there is a max storage that the player can have. So they can't have more than 5, and this can be unlocked later, so you can increase the storage based on the power up, but you can't do that until you've obviously leveled it up. So you can obviously spend them. So the basics of the game hasn't changed too much. So I can spend these. I could always spend them on eating. That hasn't really changed. As you can see, got points now. 10 points. This is all stuff that we've seen before. However, I've renamed these skills. I'm not sure. I haven't renamed these yet, although I have started working on the explore. But as I said in the last video, I would be showing off these skills and anything that I've changed. So at the moment, I haven't added a description yet, but this is to increase the speed, and this one costs 10 points. Is to increase the speed Mark 2, so this is actually another speed increase. Hopefully I'll be able to maybe unlock a few of these. Let me just quickly cheat. So let's add points to 250, and then let's have a look. Now 150 points. Now we can buy all of these. So here you go, increase the shell, so we can increase the cell's duration, how long it takes. We can do that straight away. Let's add a stun. We've got a warning alarm. Increase the speed Mark 3, Mark 1, Mark 2, and increase the food, which will increase the storage overall, which hopefully we don't die. I might just quickly change that in here, just so I don't end up dying and can't show you anything. Yeah, I'll do that now. So let's see. So all of these have now got max storage, which if I just quickly add storage to all of our things, we can just make sure we're still full of food when we need to be. So as you can see, when we hit storage of 5, we've hit the max, and we can buy all these if we want. I'll buy them in a second, once I've explained what they do. So let's eat some food, and just make sure that we're full all the time. That should be fine. Okay, so let's do a little bit of exploring. No, actually, let's not. So as I said, visuals have changed. There's new rocks, there's new different types of things. I've also limited the amount of spawn points that's in the sea to try and drag the gameplay out and make it so that the player is more likely to die. I did say I would do that, and I have. This is really going to be something for testing. I also plan in the future, I've decided to do a bit more post-processing, but that's towards the end of the game. Once I've got these skills in for these and this, so once I've got home and explored tree done, and the for some reason it's not activating, but once I've got the objectives finished, which will play into a bit more of a narrative, again, and I want a narrative experience with this to try and push the player, because right now there really isn't any reason for the player to play. Apart from just unlocking skills, and that's really not enough. Once I've added those into the game, that'll also push forward, and I'll add the post-processing for the lighting to make things look nicer, and add a bit more of a day-night cycle. And then I can bring the, as you've noticed, I haven't had jellyfish and squid in the game yet. That's because I was planning on having it more of a nighttime event where it can glow and the player can kind of look for it. It's a bit more dangerous at night, but as you know, squid and jellyfish do give you more points and such, so I thought it'd be an interesting thing. And so that's really end game kind of stuff. So that's what I plan on doing. Anyway, back to the things I've added. So not only limited points, but I've also added points to islands to add more stuff that spawns on them, more crabs and more plants dotted around. This is because even though I've limited the amount of stuff that's around, islands, I feel like there should be a reason to try and explore them and get them. I also made it so that islands don't respawn stuff, while things in the sea will. So if fish respawn and plants respawn. Sorry about that, the door was ringing. Where was I? So I wanted less items to be on islands for the reason of having to explore them, but then once they've got the items, they're gone and they won't respawn for a long period of time. Haven't done that yet, but will. We'll be looking at that next. So the next thing I did was update the collisions on the islands a bit better and change the collisions to match the new islands. Didn't take too long, it was a similar process to what we've looked at before. So the other thing I've done is tabs, so you can now click on these tabs to bring them up. The objectives hasn't been finished and I haven't really added new ones, I'll be doing that soon. But it's going to be very similar to how we've done bulls before, and we're going to have a counter to determine how many objectives have been completed, so that the player can know how many is left to do, and maybe if there's any secret ones they can try and figure out. But as you can see, yep, tabs are working. You can close that. I'm not sure if I showed this or not, or if I've covered it in a video, but I have done a random rotation. Not 100% sure if I've covered it or not, but I think it's important for me to mention. So the islands now have a random rotation on them, so that they'll show a little bit of difference. So here we go. Let's see if I can find an island that's similar. So as you can see down here, there's an island here, and then there's an island over here, and they're rotated. Got a few of these different islands dotted around. So there's quite a lot of things that have changed. I've also messed around with the size of the enemies and minor changes to the enemy's collision. I've also added around the entire map these rock walls to keep the player in, mainly because I didn't want the player running off, and there really wasn't any kind of boundary. There was an invisible boundary, but invisible boundaries don't really work too well in games. I think they're certainly much more natural, but then when a player gets stopped against an invisible wall, you don't really see that anymore. Usually they're hidden. I didn't know how to really hide it on this game too well, without there just being some kind of message which breaks the immersion to tell the player they can't go that way. I could always have the player just constantly push back in, but I feel like it's very unnatural, so I've added a rock around the area. As you see, we've got a whale here. Again, size is a bit different. And we do have, you may have noticed, but the water is a lot more different here. There's also a lot less scarce, less islands and a lot less stuff. This is mainly because this whole section here is much more deep ocean, and so this will mainly hold these whales enemies, as well as the chance of them being much more quicker and the chance of the player losing. If you come into this area, usually the player will probably die, and that's kind of the point, is that this is much more later game, and I'm probably going to have a way of telling the player not to venture this way unless they're prepared. You do see these openings, and I've actually left them for something for the end game. I want the player to end the game by simply going into the ocean to the beyond. There will be a story related to this area and reason why they're trapped right around these rocks. I'm trying not to ramble too much, but I've got quite a lot of things to go for, as you can tell. So with those rocks and this little biome here, which isn't a very interesting biome, I'll probably add some more unique stuff to there to keep it a little bit more lively. But let me just turn off that a second, and let me turn off the UI. So the other thing I've got over here is again 2 more whales and a bit more of a greener water. If I press play a second and then quickly have a look at it. This is the coral reef biome. A lot more vibrant. I want this area, once I've done post-processing, to maybe have a bit more glow to it, a bit more bright and different kind of lightings to really show it off. But as you can see, the green water helps. I've also got this biome here, which I consider this a biome, this section. It's not very nice to look at, but hopefully when I put post-processing in and added a bit more things into the game that really reflect that type of lighting, that this will hopefully be a lot better. As you can see, this is also a biome, which is the reason why I say it's a biome. Let me quickly go into the game, is because of the next thing that I've added. So these rock formations are actually what I call, can't even remember what I call them. So coral reef, shallows, and I believe it's like canyon current. So if I can just try and get across here. Forget about my UI for a minute. I know I've not turned it back on, but it's fine. These guys are probably going to kill me. Yeah, these guys are going to kill me probably before I can get to it. Turn my UI back on, because I can't quite see what I'm doing. Okay. I'm doing alright. So I've still got the same system of healing when you get to an island, which does need to be changed because it's too easy for the player to simply just get that heal. Let's use this to get around, trap him a bit. Oh god. It's all blocked off. Oh god. So this whole area over here is, let's see if I can click my, there we go. So I'm actually moving much more quicker, and that's because we're inside of a current. If I try and go the other way, as you can see, it's pushing me back out. And I can't go this way. In fact, this is now going to get me killed, I think. So once your armor is broken and gotten to 0, it'll end up you'll take more damage. So that's how the damage works. So once the armor hits 0, it'll, oh, come on. It's very difficult to get past this zone. But the other coral reef area actually has a lot to offer, a lot of fish related stuff, so let's try and go this way. I built this a little bit like a maze to try and confuse the player and try and get the player to go different ways. Still got a bit of a rotation issue, but that's okay. So there you go, now we're in the new biome. Let's see if I can get over there. Don't worry about the random rotation, it'll work itself out. I'll fix it another time. Fix it before we finish. So yeah, we're entering the coral reef area. I'm probably going to have a message where it says the get to the beach to win. We don't need that anymore. I'm probably going to have that as a notification for the player to, you know, let the player know that we've kind of entered different zones. It's a little mini notification. So as you can see, we're entering the, let me quickly get some food. Actually, I don't need any food because I can just eat. There we go. So the other thing I want to do is, we need to determine where our enemies are. And I'm going to quickly look at abilities in a second, once I've looked at this biome a little bit more. So we've got these random corals, and this coral reef just spawning around us. I think it looks quite cool. With also the green water, I think it looks quite interesting. In any case, so that's the coral reef. It looks nice. I think it'll look really nice for processing. We've also got the current canyon, which is this area which separates this, and all the way around. All these different currents pushing against the player. Then we also have our abilities. So let's quickly show the abilities that I've done. And before I actually show them in game, let's actually show them in our skills. So survival skills, if you remember last episode, we ended on this. We set it up ready for me to do skills, and I said I wouldn't show me making every single skill. The reason why I said that is because I didn't know exactly what skills I wanted to, and I knew there'd be a lot of changing, a lot of experimenting, so I think the video would just be too long, there'd be too much footage. So this is what I have now. So the first ability you can get is an increase in speed, which all I'm doing is just adding a new speed to the player's controller, which is just adding on top of the current speed. Then again, increasing the food storage, adding a new time to it. It's very straightforward, just adding our current new time onto the top of our max time, or M time. Same thing with the speed Mark 2 and Mark 3, which I might separate these a little bit more, because currently in the skill tree they're right next to each other really, so I might separate them a bit more. Then we can increase the shell's duration. Right now it's 5, but then we can add another 5 onto it. This will increase its durability, so it'll last longer. And then you have stun defense. Now remember, when we played it then, we actually bought all of the skills, so the reason why the shark didn't attack us immediately after and carry on chasing us is because he was stunned, and that makes him a bit slower. So you also have the stun. Where is it? We also have what this warning alarm is when you may have seen it, but at the top there was some text with some warning saying that the enemy was nearby, that there was danger nearby, and that's just like a little warning. I might actually put that towards the beginning and maybe upgrade 2, because I do have now a better version of that, which I'm not sure if I'm going to keep it yet, because it kind of makes this warning alarm a bit obsolete, bit more rubbish. So the other abilities I've been working on is the explore, and I've actually added a mini map into this game so that the turtle can find new locations, point of interest. They can see the enemy, which again I'm not 100% sure I'm going to keep, but they can also see the islands nearby. It's a very good skill to have, and so I might actually put it further up rather than having been the first skill. So you've already seen these the first set of skills in use when I activated them all. I'll just do that again, and then I'll also activate these 3 upgrades, which I've only just started the exploration upgrades. The home upgrades I'm also going to change. I'm going to add abilities to upgrade your home, which will be increasing your storage. I also want to make it, let me just add to the UI as well. And let's also add in our objectives, because the objectives have not been, just in case you've forgotten what they look like, here they are. This is what it looks like. It's going to be probably a little bit different, maybe a tick next to them with a box, and then obviously the actual text and what you need to do. Let's just close that. So let's grab all these. As you can see, hit max storage. Let's just get a bunch of skills. I probably don't need to do this, but I'm just reminding you. The reason I had this storage on these resources is so that the player does have to explore and does have to use them. They can't just store a bunch of food for their food counter. They can't just store a bunch of resources so that they can just eat it later. They have to spend it if they want to keep going. It does force the player to have to upgrade, which is what I want. So let's just do that a second. And then we got 16. I do think we get too many points too quickly, but I'll fix that. So again, I'm going to do these now. And as you can see, once I leave this island, my speed has been increased. And this will allow you to catch the fish. You can't catch the fish without this. I've also been thinking of adding the Scrooge game as a bonus mode to the game. So from the menu, you will be able to access the game. I think that would be quite interesting to have. So let's get a bunch of points, like we just did. Let's add a bunch of points. Let's say 200 points. Hopefully that's enough. Oops, there we go, 200 points. Let's buy this one. So this one was the increased speed once again. So Mark 3. It's very not too noticeable, but you should now be able to get these creatures such as fish. I've also moved the fish to be underneath the water. I think it looks a lot more cooler, a lot more natural. There you go, our armor's dropping now. It'll continue to drop until I'm hit. And let's get these. And so when I'm near an enemy, it'll appear, the icon will appear. But I feel like it's not that worth it because certain enemies are so small, and honestly with the new mini map, it doesn't make too much difference. So I may change that warning icon. So let's just add all these. It looks like the warning icon actually doesn't work anymore, so I'll have to fix that. But that's fine, that's what all this testing is for. So I plan on showing the explore skills another time actually. I'll show them in a different video once I've made a bunch more updates to the game. Hopefully I'll be looking at the objectives next time. Oh yes, so I fixed there was an issue that I was having when I packaged this game and then placed it onto a different computer with a different resolution. I was having a bit of an issue where the UI would kind of be a bit wrong. It would be either outside, depending on resolution. I fixed that now. That was to do with the canvas not being set correctly. So I've put the scaler now I'm scaling it with the screen size instead. Originally I think it was on consistent pixel size. Now I'm on scale with screen size, and I've matched it to the resolution of my screen. So the resolution should now change based on the screen size, but it will stay where it is based on if it was the same resolution as my screen, my monitor. So hopefully that makes sense. So now that's fixed. Whenever I package it, it should now fix it with the correct resolution of the screens. So that was the other thing I fixed, as well as the mini-map, which I'll go over in a different video. We've got the new biomes, as well as the boundary around the map. We've also got random rotation. We've updated the collisions on the islands. We've changed the amount of spawning of the spawn points, as well as added spawn points to islands. We've also had some new visuals. Of course, our islands are different, like I said, and we've added some new rocks and stuff. So new visual updates to different things. We've got our abilities, our survival abilities we can buy, our upgrades, and we've got our shield. So the only thing that I've changed, or the only thing that's different, if I quickly go on here, and then I go back to main menu, I've added some random spawning, which is a little broken at the moment for this menu. I'm actually thinking of changing this to maybe a custom image rather than this movement, because it kind of looks a little weird. And hopefully the next time I do a video, I'll have all the Scrooge stuff added as an option to play as well. So in this main menu, you'll have maybe play, campaign. So maybe you'll have campaign, then you'll have Scrooge Tale, and then you'll have maybe options and menu. I don't know. Okay, so next time, like I said, Scrooge, we're getting our game jam into this game, so hopefully we'll be able to see that next time. I won't be showing the game off because there's another video for it, there's no need to. Also, maybe a little bit of a change in the menu, and we'll also be looking at minor changes, minor fixes to different parts of the game, as well as finishing certain things like the objectives and the last column of the skill tree, as well as the current explore section of the skill tree. So see you next time.